This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
To the After Party live on Hide in Your Cave Monday. My apologies for the late start. We have an interview today with Ambassador Francis Rooney that will tape and likely air tomorrow on the Mark Thompson show. So it's a lot of preparation getting ready for that interview. And it should be really interesting because Ambassador Rooney, who was ambassador to the Holy See, was also a Republican congressman. He got this really high rating from some type of congressional, what did I say? The congressional Republican congressional folks that are rated on how conservative they are. He's like at the top of the list. So we've talked to him before, and the conversation is always really interesting, looking at things from Mark's perspective via someone who's very conservative versus someone who's very conservative. So the conversation now with Trump in office will be interesting, because Ambassador Rooney isn't necessarily a big Trumper. He is from Florida, but he's still very conservative. So anyway, that's all going down this afternoon, and we'll likely air that tomorrow for you. But this show is not about politics. This show is about things that are interesting, that we talk so much about politics that we don't often get a chance just to kind of roll around in all of these interesting scientific stories, new discoveries, new things in the world. So let's get into it right now. Oh, hi, Yvonne. I see you. Does he like his governor? We should ask him. I'll make a note to ask him about that. All right, let's jump into this very first story, because I know now, especially, time is of the essence. Did you see this story? Kind of a fun one. This squirrel made an appearance at the Yankees game over the weekend, and they were really moving quick with the turnaround. And the squirrel is now being honored with its very own Topps baseball card. Look at that squirrel in action with a big leap. There's a second picture of the squirrel standing by the foot of a baseball player. But this is a new collectible Topps baseball card with this squirrel that ran onto the field during a New York Yankees game against the Boston Red Sox. It stopped play during Friday's game when it hopped out onto the field right at the top of the fourth inning, and then approached Yankees pitcher Max Fried, who was on the mound. Fried said, "That's the first time that's happened to me. My first reaction was, don't do anything that might embarrass you." He said, "I thought it was just going to run around, or that it was just going to run around, but it came straight to me and went in the little hole I created on the mound." The video from the game apparently shows Fried and Squirrel in some kind of stare down. At one point, he says, "I said, okay, buddy, let's go." And he just did his thing. He said, "It's strange, but it's all in good fun." So the squirrel runs to the foul zone. That's when the play is resumed. And then he went out through a chain link fence into the scoreboard area. Yeah, there you go. The new Topps card was released on Saturday, just a day later, and it has some photos of the squirrel, including the one that you see here. The card says, "It's nuts." Get it? "Furry friend takes the mound at Yankee Stadium." The card selling for $8.99, and it was already sold out by today. That's how fast that happened. So there's a new collectible squirrel card. I do love that picture. Kind of a fun story. Speaking of animals, though, we got another big lizard on the loose. Remember, we had that one in Massachusetts that was on the run. This one is a large tegu lizard, T-E-G-U, tegu lizard. It was spotted wandering loose in Maine, and it's still loose in Maine. So now police in Maine are asking members of the public to report any sightings of this massive lizard seen wandering loose in Old Town. The Old Town, Maine Police Department says this reptile, originally they thought it was a monitor lizard. No, now they say it's a tegu lizard, and tegus have sharp teeth and claws and very strong jaws. They say they're not super aggressive, but if they feel threatened, they can lash out. So The police are asking anyone in Maine who spots this loose lizard to report its location and not try to capture it themselves. They don't know where it came from. Did someone have it as a pet and it got free? Did someone dump it? Did it wander here off of a boat? Like, they have no idea. They're asking if this animal has an owner, that owner contact authorities as well. You want to contact authorities? I don't know. So that's what's happening in Maine. We'll keep our eye on that story, see if they capture that lizard. This story was submitted by teacher Lori. So fascinating. There's this new discovery of an undersea metropolis. They say the size of this thing dwarfs the Atlantic's lost city. They're trying to make it seem like they found this underwater city, but what they found was a newly discovered, I should say, underwater ecosystem surrounding a hydrothermal vent. And it's really, really big. Really big. These are cracks in the seafloor that release hot, mineral-rich water. It's this type of area where scientists think the earliest forms of life began. So a team of researchers just discovered this hydrothermal system. It is huge. They're calling it the Kunlun system, Kunlun, the Kunlun system. And they hope, they don't know, but they hope that maybe it will bring them even closer to understanding the formula for life. We have explored less than 30% of the seafloor of our ocean. It's just too deep. It's too hard to get to. We don't know what's down there. We've only seen 30% of it. Think of all the things we don't know about our own planet. This Kunlun system discovery, published in the journal Science Advances, talks about this hydrothermal field. It's at a really earthquake-prone area, this tectonically active site in the Pacific Ocean. It's located about 50 miles, they say, west of the Musau Trench. Do you know where that is? No, me neither. South of New Guinea. They took a crew down in a submersible and explored this area. And they say that this system consists of 20 circular craters on the sea floor. Some of the craters are more than a half mile in diameter. So that's going to be a massive sea vent. The entire field of sea vents in this new Kunlun system spans 4.3 square miles. So it's huge, huge. They form these hydrothermal systems when seawater seeps through cracks in the oceanic crust, and then it heats really fast as it comes closer to the Earth's mantle. The scientists say this area could be really pivotal in understanding how life began on Earth, because the water is rich in hydrogen, which is one of the building blocks of life, right? And they say that the conditions surrounding the hydrothermal systems will give us the perfect natural lab to research what the exact recipe is for when life began millions of years ago. They also say this Kunlun hydrothermal field isn't the average hydrothermal system, that it has some kind of strange characteristics. It has an exceptionally high hydrogen flux scale. It's in a very unique geological setting. It's challenging their long-held beliefs, because what they say is it's showing that hydrogen generation and very extremely rich generation can happen far from mild ocean ridges. So they say that this area is over 100 times larger than the next biggest one they found, called the Lost City, is what they named it. So it's massive, and it holds a lot of hope for new discoveries and new research. So they're going to keep looking at it. It has ecological potential. They said they observed diverse deep sea life there, shrimp, squat lobsters, anemones, tube worms, all these species that depend on hydrogen fueled uh, processes to survive. So thank you to Teacher Lori for that story. Love knowing that there's a new development in the world. Can we look at this one? Anybody who watches Outlander may recognize the stones. These are some new stones that have been unearthed right near a highway in Norway. There they were all along. It's a lost ancient cult site. A mudslide buried this ceremonial location around 800 CE, and there it has been buried ever since. It's a 3,000-year-old ritualistic site built right near a highway expansion project. The surveyors went out for the expansion of the highway, and they discovered the first signs of ancient religious activity more than a decade ago. But their more recent excavation work is giving even a deeper look in what happened in this area and why the people way back when abandoned this site because of a giant mudslide in central Norway's Gwaldal River Valley. 800 CE is when the mudslide happened, but they say it's really a special find. There's never been anything like it. They say it's very, very unique. The story out of Science Norway earlier this month indicates that this archaeological survey was done ahead of a planned highway expansion. So over 2 summers, colleagues sourced this large region buried under as much as 9.8 feet of clay. And they dug and they dug and they dug, and it paid off. What they found, 2 main sections that each included a moderately sized longhouse, which measured about 39 feet in length. And near one longhouse stood a larger stone burial mound called a cairn, along with 3 burial chambers, some of which housed charred human bones. Archaeologists also found here evidence of cooking pits and a fire pit that was likely used to make bronze. Throughout the site, they say they documented numerous stones carved with artwork. You can see here the carvings on the stones. They found on the stones a footprint, boat, human figures, a bow and arrow. And the stones, they say, are striking because Norwegian rock art was usually etched directly into bedrock, but these stones appeared to have been intended as portable relics. One stone measures 4 by 8 inches, so very small, very portable, and that you could carry in your pocket. So interesting. There is one type of building the archaeologists did not find. They say so far there is no evidence there of any type of a permanent community. That's why they think that this place served as a spiritual function and may have been served with some type of reverence because they didn't live there. They just held some ceremonies there, is the general thinking. It looks, I will say, I can see why someone would think this area would be mystical and magical, because even today, when you look at the archaeologists doing the dig, doesn't it look like a magical spot? Kind of misty in the distance and hazy, where some kind of magic could happen. But there they are digging in the stones, trying to figure out what happened here. The analysis of human remains in this area showed the bones date to 1000 to 800 BCE, putting them right around the time of the devastating mudslide that inundated this area. They say there, other than that, are no traces of people there. It wasn't a Pompeii type of thing. It was an actual burial site. But they haven't found anything exceptional yet. They say there are indications of some kind of human settlement. Regardless of the new project's outcome, they say the significance of what they found down the road is very clear. There aren't many discoveries in Norway, they say, that compare to finding these portable stones in this landscape that was once used. So that's what's happening in Norway. Go to build a freeway and look what you find. Fascinating. Should we get to the lotto of the day? I love how that guy's hiding his face. Tank won $1 million. Gotta love that. The lottery win for Mr. Tank came after the store clerk selected his $1 million lottery ticket. It happened in Maryland. Guy says he had an extra $20 in his pocket. So he asked for a store clerk to pick out a lottery ticket at Hobbs Carroll Motor Fuels. And he said, just give me a $20 scratch off ticket, whichever one you want. And he said, by the way, pick me a winner. And so she did as asked and handed him a $20 all about cash ticket that turned out to be the winner of the top prize for that ticket, which is $1 million. At first he said, I thought it was $100. And then I thought it was for 1,000. And it kept going and going. And I called my wife and I said, I just hit this sucker for $1 million. What's he going to do with his mill? His cool mill? He's going to save it for retirement. Smart. And he doesn't show his face. And all he writes on the check is Tank. Somebody doesn't want us to know who he is. Maybe he doesn't want us to go for a handout. I don't know. This one I found interesting as well. This is a story about water play and heat waves. Look at that on a hot day. Apparently, enduring heat waves make us age faster. Is there anything that doesn't make us age faster? There's a new study that says living through heat waves is making us age faster. This is a climate change issue because of extreme temperatures becoming more and more common. We are seeing widespread, long-lasting damage to the health of billions of people. Scientists say they looked at 15 years worth of health data from about 25,000 adults in Taiwan. And they found 2 years of exposure to heat waves could speed up a person's biological aging by 8 to 12 extra days. Meh, seems like a small amount, they say, but it builds up over time. The study published Monday in the journal Nature Climate Change, done at the University of Hong Kong. The small number, they say, actually matters. This was a study of a 2-year exposure, but we know the heat waves have actually been occurring for decades. So while we already knew that extreme heat can cause a spike in deaths, this one is the first to look at the heat's long-term effects. And what they found is that the biological age increased by about 9 days for people who experienced 4 more heat wave days over a 2-year period. Manual workers who tend to spend more time outside were strongly affected, with their biological age increasing by 33 days. Record-breaking temperatures have been seen this summer on the West Coast, although I thought it was kind of a mild summer here. Iran with the extreme heat, Europe, Japan, Korea. They say 2024 is the hottest year on record, and that climate change caused 41 extra days of extreme heat worldwide. That's according to World Weather Attribution. The researchers say some groups are more vulnerable to faster aging because of the heat. So older people who have lived through many heat waves may age faster than a younger person with the same exposure. Living without air conditioning or working outdoors can also make the aging rate worse. They said it's not the same as losing days of your life, but it is a measurable shift in biological aging markers. They also say that they considered the sum of a person's heat exposure. They also considered a person's weight, smoking, exercising habits, any pre-existing conditions, so that they could really kind of whittle down what was the heat and what was not the heat. So, heat is making us age faster. There you go. This is a unique supernova that has apparently been dazzling astronomers. And I'm going to say it is, do I have a picture for you? Oh, you know what? I couldn't get the picture because it wasn't right. Let me try one more time. I think it's cool. It almost looks like it's got a little pinprick right inside. You can see the light. Here's the picture. I'm sorry, I saved it wrong earlier and forgot that I did that, but here it is. It's pretty cool looking, right? This is a supernova that is said to reveal the inner layers of stars. The researchers say they've observed this supernova in progress that showed what they think is an onion-like structure of elements in stars. And the explosion, they say, may be in a class all of its own. This discovery started in 2021 when an astrophysicist at Northwestern University was looking at this astronomical data. One event, this thing, this luminous object, about 2.2 billion light years away, caught the eye of Steve Schultz. He and his team say this object is an unusual supernova that give us a glimpse of layers deep inside a star for the first time. Steve and his team published a study last week in the journal Nature. He says he's been sifting through observations from the ZTF, it's the Zwicky Transient Facility. They use this wide field camera to scan the night sky and watch for even short-lived astronomical phenomena. He spotted this supernova. They had a very sexy name for it. It's SN2021 YFJ. I don't know why, but they say it was interesting at first glance, but they needed a little more detail than the Zwicky Transient Facility could provide. So they started reaching out to other telescope facilities around the world, trying to get a closer look at this dying star. The spectrum, they said, can be seen breaking down dispersed light into component colors, each color representing an element that's present in a supernova explosion, and that by studying these elements, they could learn more about the star and its violent end. But when they were looking for all of that, it proved a little more challenging because some of the telescopes were unavailable or covered by clouds, so they thought they lost the opportunity to study this. The next day, a colleague at UC Berkeley provided a spectrum, and without that, they say, we may have never realized that this was a strange, unusual explosion. The spectrum provided by UC Berkeley came from the Keck Observatory in Hawaii, and it showed that the scientists' initial thoughts about this had been correct. That instead of helium, nitrogen, carbon, and oxygen that astronomers expected to see in the spectrum, it revealed heavier elements of silicon, sulfur, and argon. They say it was as if before the explosion, something stripped off the star's lighter outer layers, exposing the deep interior. All of the supernovas ever observed and cataloged were different, that this is the first of its kind. They grouped supernovas into these classes based on elements that they see in what's called a spectra, and no other supernova had been found with a spectrum quite like this one. The scientists say we know more than 10,000 supernovas, but we detected a supernova that is very different to anything we have ever observed before. And they say we had no idea that it's possible to strip a star to this extreme amount. And I have what they have put together, kind of a little video. Well, it is a little video that kind of shows the explosion. So I have to take this cool picture down so we can see it together. Here it is. And you can see what they have, what they are telling us it looks like, this explosion. And that's it. And so because of this, they think that we are able to see the inner workings of this dying star. I'm kind of fascinated, I have to tell you. It's so interesting. And all just because someone happened to have a picture that they never would have pulled otherwise. Crazy. How about we go to Hide in Your Cave Monday? Let's do it. I have a message from Walter. He said, I was watching this show or watching QI. I don't know what QI is. And Stephen Fry said, the largest known stalactite in the world is in Brazil, in the Gruto de Hanleo. There's supposed to be a tilde over the N in Hanleo. Yeah. But he doesn't have it on his keyboard. So he had to type it that it was supposed to be said like that, Hanleo. And that's again from Walter. So I decided, well, let's go look that up. And here's a picture of that cave. Look how incredible this cave is. The Gruta do Janleo. It's a limestone cave inside the Cavernas do Peruacu National Park in Brazil. The cave is the largest in the valley, they say, and it is 4,740 meters of horizontal extension and 176 meters high. And it has these, as you see here, several skylights that let in the sun. And so small forests that resemble Japanese gardens because of the delicacy and harmony are formed all over the place inside this cave because it has these natural skylights. It is in the or near the Peruaçu River, which runs through the Hanleo Grotto, and it has the largest stalactite measuring 28 meters long. Okay, so that's pretty cool. They say that this is also an archaeological site with cave paintings scattered on a 10-foot long wall, which stand out. And they have these bold, striking colors. They have, as mentioned, these natural skylights. They're called the big window, where you can see the panoramic view. There are many skylights in this cave system. So that's pretty cool. Very interesting cave. So here are, I should say, I have this largest of the cave formations, and I'm looking for one of these. Here it is. Pictures of one of the largest stalactites. I don't know if I won't try to isolate that. Stalactite Jane Leo. Once again, I thought I had the picture, but that's okay. We'll find it. And it's major. What's interesting is it doesn't seem like it's one big one, but it seems like maybe one big system. I wouldn't look at this and go, wow, that's the biggest stalactite I've ever seen. But it is said to be the biggest in the world. So here's what it looks like. I have a picture of it for you. I don't know. I'm not impressed. I thought it would be different looking than it is. I think the cave itself is gorgeous. Here it is. Maybe because it looks like a small, a part of a smaller, like maybe a long system of stalactites. I just kind of expected to see one massive one, but that's what it looks like. So there you go. That's the largest at the Gruta do Janleo. But this cave is interesting for so many reasons. The nearby river runs throughout the internal area of the cave. It's also a major attraction. The vegetation outside the cave is super lush, with the trees measuring 60 meters tall. So this whole area feels otherworldly. It looks otherworldly, and it's beautiful. There's the world's biggest stalactite. Mm, yeah. Let me show you some more pictures of this amazing cave. I love the forests on the inside of the cave, and you can see the river running through the cave as well. Here's another shot of it. Because one isn't enough. Here it is. I mean, I think it's pretty special. So this is that river that runs through the whole cave. You can get guided tours here, but look how beautiful that is. You can see the trees inside the cave because of the skylights like that. Let some light in. But there you go. Thanks, Walter, for sending us to Gruto do Leo, this amazing place in Brazil. Thank you. I think Brazil, right? It's the river is called the Puraçu, so it makes me think of Peru. This is in Brazil. Pretty incredible. Okay, going to the chat because I know you guys, yeah, unreal. Blue Spark says stalactites at lava beds are often broken off with some hair attached. I know some is mine and it hurts. Oh no. A river runs through it. Great movie. Nullifidian says, glad you enjoyed it. I did. Very cool. Oh, no worries. Don't worry. I can look it up. I can look up the pictures. There's so many cool pictures in this area. And thank you for the suggestion, Nullifidian. Really appreciate it. Gruto do Leo. This cave makes me want to go see it in person. It's just so special. And I'm so appreciative that you took the time to send it. Just with these magical skylights everywhere. Really cool. Deep inside of a mountain, but still with all of this growth. Very cool. And so we've hidden out in our skylighted cave with a little light and some greenery and some water. Really, everything we need in there to never ever come out again. Thank you very much for the suggestion. And that is Hide in Your Cave Monday. I know. Not a lot of caves, but I think it's the cave. I loved it. Gruto do Leo. Check it out. Look it up on Google because there's so many cool pictures that I was not able to show you that I think you'll really enjoy seeing. So, love it. I wanted to talk about this story. This story is submitted by Jim S. And you know, we have all kinds of trouble with bees, especially in polluted areas and with climate change. And I know you've seen the stories like I have where they detail how the world could not exist without bees, that we need them to pollinate and help us with life on the planet as we know it. Well, scientists have discovered something interesting that might help save the bees. Thank you to Jim S. for this story. These scientists found the missing nutrients that bees need. And when, sounds like bees knees, that bees need. And when they found the missing nutrient, the colonies that were given the supplement grew 15-fold. It's a breakthrough food supplement that could help save honeybees from these devastating declines. They engineered yeast to produce 6 essential sterols found in pollen, and the researchers provided bees with a nutritionally complete diet, and it boosted their reproduction up to 15-fold. Unlike, they say, commercial substitutes that lack the key nutrients, the supplement mimics natural pollen's sterol profile, and it gave bees the equivalent of what would be a balanced diet. Now, work has been done that could really save the bees. The study was done at the University of Oxford. They worked with the Royal Botanic Gardens in Kew, the University of Greenwich, and the Technical University of Denmark. And they say this solution is a cost-effective, sustainable solution to help address this problem of a devastating decline in honeybees. This engineered food supplement is designed to provide essential compounds found already in plant pollen, and it significantly enhanced reproduction within a bee colony. They published the study August 20th in the journal Nature. How cool is that? That has to be really rewarding as a scientist when you find something that works so well, that helps so much, and you walk away and think, haha, that's why I did all that school. The climate change, the agricultural intensification have been depriving honeybees of the diversity, the floral diversity that they need to survive. So we know that pollen is a major component of the bee diet, and it has these specific lipids called sterols. And the sterols are necessary for the development of bees. And beekeepers have been feeding artificial pollen substitutes to bees to help because they have insufficient natural pollen. So kind of as a supplement because they're not getting enough. But the commercial supplements made of protein flour and sugars and oils don't have the right sterol compounds for bees. They are nutritionally incomplete. But in the new study, the research team succeeded in engineering this yeast to produce a precise mixture of the key sterols, 6 of them, that bees need. Then it was incorporated into their diets and fed to the bee colonies during the 3-month feeding trials. They took place in enclosed glass houses to ensure the bees only fed on the treatment diets. And by the end of the study period, the colonies fed with the enriched yeast reared up to 15 times more larvae to the viable pupal stage compared with colonies fed control diets. The colonies that had the enriched diets were more likely to continue rearing brood up to the end of the 3-month period. The colonies on the sterol deficient diet ceased brood production after 90 days. And the sterol profile of larvae in the colonies fed this engineered yeast matched that found in naturally foraged colonies. And the scientists say that suggests the bees selectively transfer only the most biologically important sterols to their young. They said this could really use biology to address a real world challenge, ecological challenge. Most of the pollen sterols used by bees are not available naturally in quantities, they say, that could be harvested on a commercial scale. So it makes it impossible then to create a nutritionally complete feed that is a substitute for pollen. And the difference for these creatures between the sterol enriched diet and conventional bee feeds would be comparable to the difference for humans between eating a balanced, nutritionally complete meal and eating meals missing essential nutrients like fatty acids. But using a precision fermentation, they say they're now able to provide bees with a tailor-made feed that is nutritionally complete at the molecular level. And before this, they didn't know which of the sterols in pollen were critical for bee health. And now they know. So look at that. The bees are saved. Well, I like to think the bees are saved. It'll take a while to roll this out. The pollinators, like honeybees, contribute to the production of more than 70% of the leading global crops. And severe declines caused by a combination of nutrient deficiencies, climate change, mite infestations, viral disease, and pesticide exposure pose a significant threat to food security and biodiversity. They say in the last decade that annual commercial honeybee colony losses in the US have ranged between 40 and 50%. and could go to between 60 and 70% this year, 2025. So this new engineered supplement is a means to enhance colony resilience without further depleting natural floral resources. I love it. And thank you, Jim, for sending that story in. Super awesome. If you guys have any stories for me that you find along the way that you think would be good for the show, please send them. Kim at theafterparty.live. Teacher Lori sent a story in today. Jim sent a story. Walter sent a story. So thank you so much for contributing. It's kind of like we're working together to make it all happen. I really appreciate it. Kim at theafterparty.live is where to reach me. Blue Spark, what? $5 from Blue Spark. I know so many contributions pour in on the Mark Thompson show. And so to see one come in on this show, I really appreciate it. It is a crowd-funded show. Absolutely could not do it without you and your support in a variety of ways. So Blue Spark, huge, huge love and thank you to you for contributing via the YouTube super chat, super sticker situation. There are also people who contribute using PayPal, and you can find that in the show description every day. Wes, as a matter of fact, this very day has kicked in $5 as well. So thank you to Wes. Thank you also to Joyce M for the recurring payment, Jane O, Alicia P, and Vicky S. Thank you for your PayPal contributions to keep this show rolling. All right, everybody. I hope you have the very best rest of your Monday. And I will see you on the Mark Thompson show. It is a David K. Johnston day tomorrow. We will also have Jefferson Graham on the show. And I am thinking that we will be running the conversation that we're going to have in about 15 minutes or less with Ambassador Francis Rooney. It should be very fascinating. So that is all ahead tomorrow on the Mark Thompson show. And then tomorrow is also Travel Tuesday. So if you have any suggestions of a location we should visit virtually together, please let me know. Until we meet again, please make it the very best day. And here it is. For now, bye-bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.